Hello and welcome to Devotions. It is interesting when you become a part of a community of faith. There are so many incredibly wonderful things that you can experience. You can be listened to. People can confide in you. People can feel like let's work together in order to solve a problem and make the world a better place. When I am a part of our church community, I feel the same way. At the same time, a church community doesn't always have that perfect moment where everything gels together. The Apostle Paul explains in a passage of some of the struggle that all churches face. This is from 1 Corinthians chapter 8. It's at the very beginning of the chapter, verses 1 through 3. Now, about food sacrificed to idols. We know that we all possess knowledge, but knowledge puffs up when love builds up. Those who think they know something do not yet know as they ought to know, but whoever loves God is known by God. That is the introduction to Paul trying to describe a problem in the church. There are some people who are eating meat that has been sacrificed to idols. And for them, it's not a big deal because they don't believe that those idols that were sacrificed to exist. They're just made up by people. So it's not a big deal. But there are some new Christians that are beginning to attend worship and be a part of the faith community. And they think that these older, more mature Christians are actually eating sacrificed meat, and that the idols actually have power. It causes struggle. The reason I bring this up is because in our world today, we are, as a Christian community, struggling. We struggle with whether or not to go to church. We struggle whether or not to be a part of the faith community on video or in person, in a building or in a park. Everybody has thoughts and opinions on this, and I think it's important that we recognize that Christ works through all of us, helping all of us hear the different voices. And again, what Paul goes back to is love. What is going to bring about the most positive impact to all, not just some? I've done some research, and it turns out that people going to church end up getting COVID. There's specific reasons. It turns out that people in church like to hug each other. And hugging is about one of the worst things you can do if you want to keep COVID at bay. People feel like it's my right to be able to not wear a mask. It is your right. But know that if you spread COVID to some people who are compromised, that they have a high possibility of dying. And I don't understand why anybody would take a mask off if that's what the consequence would be. Yes, we get to think with our minds, but we have to live with our hearts. And our hearts are meant to be focused on God's love. This Sunday, we're going to have worship outside in a park. We're going to ask everybody to obey rules that are very annoying and also sad. It is sad I don't get to hug the people I love. And yet at the same time, Paul reminds us that we need to do out of love what is best for the community. And I believe at this time what is best for the community is that we do worship. We worship outside, and we follow all the rules that the CDC asks us to do. One last thing. I've read on a number of Christian news areas the complaint about singing. The CDC says we are not allowed to sing, even outside. And again, that's not a willy-nilly rule created just to make Christians upset. That is a rule created because when people sing, other people get COVID. When a church choir sings, almost everybody gets COVID in that choir practice. This is documented evidence that we need to be careful, that God does want us to worship, but God also wants us to care about those people around us to make sure that everybody is safe. I cannot wait to worship on Sunday, and I cannot wait to see brothers and sisters in Christ who I have missed for many months. And I pray that when we gather together, we all be safe and allow for God's love to be the guide. Have a